And welcome to unMadeGaming. We are here for another episode, the final episode, the last one of the Seekers. And now that everyone is sufficiently sad about that, let's go around, do our quick introductions. We have Sam, aka the Wizard Fool. We have Keith from Material Components. We have Stonefly Kai, and we have Johnny is here as well, still. And you'll see him for the foreseeable future because I have convinced him to stay on for longer and longer. Guys, he is not chained to his desk. Don't believe the blinking is not code. With that, if you guys want to support the channel and support the amount of locks I need to buy, please go check out our Patreon or subscribe here on Twitch. And let's turn things over to Johnny to take us back into the world of the Seekers for the last time.
It is the last time, and I'm really sad, but here we'll go. Previously on The Seekers, the group is given a chance to rest, heal, and restore themselves after the encounters at the fort. Feyre's injuries turn out to be minor, so they are able to return to their journey after only a couple of days. As it turns out, Aloy has another task for them. To accomplish this, though, they were to see the High Matriarchs of the Nord tribe and receive their counsel. Instead, each of them were bestowed an honor, the rank of Seeker among the Nord tribe. As a Seeker, they may travel beyond the Nor lands and return as they wish. They are in service of the tribe to accomplish any tasks set before them as needed. And they will be honored among the Nora, with aid given to them whenever they have to ask. It's with this honor comes the task that Aloy has before them. Journey out of the Nora lands and find a cauldron, a place where machines are made. To find it, though, Aloy sends them to Devil's Thirst. It's a ruined city of the old ones where they find a tall neck. Their goal, override the tall neck and gather the information they need to find the cauldron. When they arrive, they see the tall neck is a tall, lumbering creature over 60 feet in height, carving a path at the center of Devil's Thirst. To override it, they have to climb its lumbering body and reach its head. And they do. When they execute the override, the group's focus devices are updated with a flood of information, including a map of the area. However, from that vantage point, Tues and Feyre are able to see small groups of machines moving toward them. With little time to warn Tejak and Krona, the group stands on the precipice of doom as we fade in. So setting the scene again, guys, you are standing essentially on top of this, this tall neck, Tues and Feyre are standing on top of this tall neck. The 60 feet lumbering thing is on the game table screen that you guys can see, and its head is like moving in this motion, almost like you would see like a giraffe's head move when it walks, right? In fact, the body mechanics kind of resemble that. And as it's kind of moving, it's cutting its path in what looks to be a large circle around an incredibly tall building at the center of Devil's Thirst. From this vantage point, Feyre and Tues, looking in different directions, can see 4 or 5 different groups of small machines, prowlers, watchers. One sawtooth is moving in that direction, just in the general direction. And one of those groups appears to be, inching its way towards where Krona and Tejak are, and they are completely unaware. The tall neck is just kind of doing its lumbering thing, and the data is continuing to just kind of update on your screen as you see more and more bits of information begin to kind of populate the map as your focus begins to process it all. What are you guys doing?
That's not good.
No, it's not. I think we need to go help them.
Well, it's going to take me a minute to climb down this thing. Kind of like looks down at the ground and cracks his knuckles.
As you're kind of looking over the sort of the edge of the head, this sort of big flat disc you see at the top. If you're looking at the game table where I'm pinging it right now, you see sort of this weird sort of antenna attachment sort of leading off to the side. As you kind of look at that, you realize that there's a couple of them kind of placed around the head of this tall neck, one to each side and one towards the front. It looks pretty sturdy.
I don't think we have time to wait for you to climb, and I'm going to not really wait for his reaction, and I'm going to walk over and jump off the edge and shoot an arrow rope around it and swing off.
Okay, I'm going to need some sort of might or speed roll, depending upon what you feel like is more applicable here.
I have an edge in speed, so we're going to do speed.
Okay, that works.
What difficulty?
So the repelling, like you're talking about doing, is something very standard for the Nora. Right. So the difficulty for you, given that it's such a tall, beast and it's moving, is going to be difficulty 2. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
All right. So describe to me how this like works for you. How do you just slide all the way down? Do you make some sort of effort to do anything else while you're doing that, or you just making your exit quickly?
Can I like swing out to get as far out as possible? Like, it would have momentum, right?
Totally.
And to get out as far as possible so that I can get the attention of, I would think, Krona, maybe. I don't know. I feel like he would be paying more attention to like the sky.
Okay. Yeah, that's a great question, Krona. What are you doing? I'm sorry. Yes, Krona, what are you doing?
Probably telling a story of some kind. Well, we just had this vision, right?
You just had a vision of you just had a bunch of data to basically download in your vision that started representing bits on a map. And maps are not they're not uncommon. It's just this is a very highly realized sort of digital version of what you would know otherwise.
I think, Krona is indeed staring up at the sky, kind of in awe, because this is some kind of blessing from up high, from the top of this creature's head. So, peering up, what do I see?
Describe it to us, Farah.
I'm like Tarzan swinging from the rope, like going down the rope as it's like swinging out. And then when I'm near like I don't know what it would be, the apex of the swing, can I like jump off of it and, I don't know, shoot an arrow midair at a monster or something?
Okay, so I'm going to let you do that.
To show them that there's monsters coming.
Absolutely. I'm going to let you do that. I'm going to cut back to Tues real quick and find out what Tues is doing, how he's reacting as you kind of just jump off and do the whole grappling hook.
Yeah, so Tues seems that maneuver and just kind of mutters to himself. He's like, that seems a bit like cheating, but all right. And the rope's still there, right? Like, unhook it, right? Okay, yeah. Then, so I think Tues is just gonna like grab the rope and just like slide down it like you would a fireman's pole. And I know what everyone is thinking, and it's, well, that would just give you horrifying rug burn on your hand. But if you think about it, it's probably pretty much impossible to damage the palms of Tues's hands at this point, between the fact that his major two modes of exercise are climbing rocks and ripping machines apart with said hands. So I think of all people, he has a narrative justification to be able to pull this one off.
I have one question for future Tues before we actually continue with this.
Sure.
How the hell are you going to avoid arthritis? I mean, because at this point, your entire body is like one big scar.
I'm pretty sure that Tues's family does not live very long.
Besides, once the arthritis, makes your hands into fists, he just punches.
Also, turmeric is a natural substance.
That helps with arthritis. It's true.
I don't know. Like that's a good. You've got a good point. I feel like really what it is just like the very few people who practice
robot punching
as is a specific variant of the Celestial Fist, which is mostly really just his family at this point. It's like archaic and out of style mostly because it's like horrifyingly dangerous and like terrible on your body. So like I imagine the ones who live particularly long are just like wizened, like horribly like crunched down like old men and women. And like, yeah, they're just like arthritic and do nothing but sit around the school shouting at the acolytes to like get better.
But by old men and women, they're like 45.
Yeah, they're like mid 50s, but just like look like they're 80. You know what I mean? But yeah. It's definitely not good for your body what he's doing to it. Let's be very clear.
All right. So as you're executing this and doing that, and as Farah is doing her, kind of her swing down thing, I'm gonna have Tues give us a roll for that, and we're gonna make it a relatively easy one as well. It's gonna be a level 2 difficulty. And then we're going to have Farah execute her attack with her bow to indicate to Krona. And that's also going to be a level 2 difficulty as well. And the reason behind that is not only are you trained, in grappling and kind of swinging down and doing this thing, you're also not really aiming at anything in particular. You're just aiming in a general direction. So go ahead and roll that as well. And while you're doing that, Tues, describe to me as you shimmy down this rope.
Yeah, it doesn't look quite as artful or elegant as what Farah pulled off, but it's not bad. He's an athletic dude. He's not clumsy. He just kind of like I said, it kind of fireman pulls his way down it. He grabs it by one hand and lets his grip be kind of solid but loose, slides on down. And yeah, I'm imagining like people watching it would be like, oh my God, like that would just destroy your hand. But he seems okay.
Okay. All right. So as you're kind of swinging down, Farah, go ahead and give us that roll and then describe to us what that shot looks like.
Unmute. Okay. Can I retcon too and throw a spear?
You sure can.
Excuse me. Difficulty 2. Okay. Yeah.
Jesus.
I'm the death machine.
All right. Describe to me what happens when you as you're swinging down and you throw that spear and you take out a watcher. It's a machine that just drops, and then you get to describe whatever the major effect is that you want to add to that after that, if you'd like.
I don't want it to just drop. I want it to explode. Like just a little puff. It doesn't have to be like, a bomb. Just like a.
Okay, and that's the major effect you want to use?
Yeah.
Okay, as you're swinging down and that sphere just kind of sails through, it goes flying over Krona and Tejak's head, and both of you just kind of react to it as you see it, kind of going by, and it goes sailing and lands right into the eye of a watcher and just kind of slices right into the body, almost like straight down its neck, hits the sort of the like battery pack kind of thing and ruptures it, and you hear this sort of like explosion like thing. At first it's a pop, and then it's just like a, but not really like massive, and then you hear a bunch of other machines kind of just like moving and kind of like scampering out of the way. You can't actually see it. But so what the interesting thing that happens here is as Farah and Tues are swinging down sort of on this rope, Tues, as you're beginning to shimmy down, you look up and you see that the sort of the weird sort of antenna attachment there kind of pops a little bit, and it's starting to like list, it's not quite as attached, but as it does, there's like this weird sort of sparking going on. And at first it's just like a slight spark as you're kind of shimmering down, and then it builds to this brilliant blue light, and it just explodes and shoots out everywhere. And it like all four of you, your vision all goes pretty nuts for just a second as your focus is trying to compensate with what's going on. But for Farah and Tues, when their vision sort of clears and they're kind of able to look around, they can see that the machines that are, still within visible sight of them all appear to be frozen with electric blue light sort of dancing around them, and they're just basically they're like frozen mid motion. They're all sort of just like in place and not moving.
Taz will look down at the group and just kind of call out. He's like, thought that was gonna be real bad, but I think it's good. I think it's okay. This guy keeps going.
What was that?
It seems the storm is on our side as always, friends.
I don't think that was a storm at all. I think something happened.
Something definitely happened.
Is there not lightning? What is lightning without the storm?
I think it's still just lightning.
I'm pretty sure you can have lightning without a storm. I'm not an expert. But
I am also fairly certain.
I don't expect you to understand.
Oh, in that case. He looks back and forth between the equally savvy Feyre and Teus, trying to decide who to ask the question to, and eventually just says out loud, "What information did you uncover atop the long neck?"
Turns to look at Feyre, who did everything other than climbing up there.
You're muted, I think.
I was just talking really quiet.
Oh, okay.
I forgot what I found out.
We got a map, right? We got a map.
We got a map. Mm-hmm.
What did the map say, Johnny? Did it say go here? Did it have a giant X on it?
It was a map of the, essentially the entire area, all kinds of like bits and pieces of information. As you're trying to assess this, though, you kind of remember that the machines are sort of frozen and paused for a second. I wonder if it's going to last forever, though.
I would definitely like to shoot one of the machines, Johnny.
I just assume it's going to last forever.
With my big bow.
Okay. So you climb over the rise right behind where Tejak and Corona were standing, and you see a group of 4 machines that are sort of just like frozen in sort of like a frightened state. And the fifth, there's a smoking husk with a spear kind of like impaled and like kind of lit out of its body. The other 4 machines are a couple of scrappers and a couple of watchers. Which one do you want to do? And they're sparking and sort of dancing with electric, sort of blue energy. Which one do you want to shoot or hit?
Johnny Tez is a simple man. See a large machine, smash a large machine. I'm gonna shoot the big one.
Okay, so that would be one of the scrappers.
Yeah, one of the scrappers.
Difficulty 1 because it's like it's paused, it's frozen, whatever.
Yeah, that seems reasonable. I have the focus, so does that mean it's difficulty 0?
Yes, but I still want you to roll just to see what you get.
Cool. I shoot it really good. I shoot it up so good.
What would you like the major effect to be?
It's the finale.
Of course you're going to succeed until you fail. Once you start failing, it'll be over. But
can I make it explode?
All right. How big is the damage of it exploding there, buddy?
How big can it be? As big as
go for broke.
So big.
I basically want this to like be something that completely surprises Taz. Like he thinks he's just like got like a pretty good shot, and then all of a sudden it's just like this explosion that just like rocks him back. He like makes the shot and watches this happen.
Okay, so on the game table you will see a scrapper. These suckers, for the most part, are just like these like really agile sort of machines with big ugly sort of like grindy claw like mouth things. But on the back of it you see like there's that like weird sort of yellow and or yellow and white sort of triangle thing sort of sticking up and out. That's actually sort of like the fuel / battery pack / like energy thing of this machine. And when you shoot, you're just like, I'm just going to aim for the head. But you something just sort of bumps you. Maybe it's Tajak just going, hey, what are you doing? And it's just like something bumps you and you aim up a little higher and your arrow goes right into that thing. And when it does, it explodes and the shrapnel are all on fire, landing on the other 3 machines, causing them to explode, pushing both you and whoever bumped into you back a couple of feet. And all you see left are a bunch of like smoking sort of parts just sort of hanging out there, on the ground, some of it burning just a little bit.
Tues looks around. It's like, that was what I meant to do. You're welcome.
I think Feyre's actually at a loss for words.
We'd be surprised if it was Corona.
Krona drops his rain stick and it slowly.
He's like, shh. Down the hill.
As it rolls away.
Wait, I forgot the rain stick. I'll go get the rain stick in a minute.
Oh, God, that's so funny.
Priorities.
Well, I got to kill you guys first, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, did I say that out loud? Jeez.
Yeah, so Tues just looks around and is like, yes, the machines aren't as big of a problem as I thought they were going to be.
Perhaps the storm is with us after all.
What I've been telling you all along, my friends. We are creatures of legend at this point.
Honestly, if that's really the only thing that explains this.
I hate that that's true.
Perhaps you are coming to understand the truth of the higher powers.
That I hate them. The machine song spoke nothing of the storm. It did speak of loud canines in the distance. However, we should press on. Where did this map point to?
The cauldron.
No, I know that's where we're going. But where is the cauldron?
Is there a cauldron-shaped icon on our maps, Johnny?
Just like a witch's
Already
brew.
there.
Hey,
No, we're in the cut. We have to go to the cauldron, which is inside the cut.
No, you're not. The cauldron is not inside the cut. The cut is to the north. So, I need somebody to give me some sort of an intelligence roll. How do you, or some sort of skill roll of some kind, something that applies to, hey, let's figure out how this map works.
I didn't see it, so.
Actually, all of you did.
Oh, did we? Okay, cool.
So when I described it for all 4 of you. Basically, you all got the same data at the same time. When Feyre interfaced with the actual tall neck, that's when it's just sort of like all of you started to get the data at the same time. In fact, I believe Tajak actually made a roll last time to comprehend the data that was being broadcast down to the I'm a hacker kind of level.
Got it. Okay, cool. Then I can give you a roll. I have a move, Johnny, that you can set a difficulty for. It is an intellect test called Network Tap. You ask the GM one question and get a very short answer. Where is the cauldron? It's the question, and you can set the difficulty for whatever you want.
I'll give you a difficulty 2.
Difficulty 2.
And I imagine that you probably have something that will reduce that to difficulty 1.
I don't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't have any skills in asking questions to the GM.
Oh.
I just have a 20 intellect, so I'm just going to spend 2 effort and make that a 0.
Yeah, totally. It's just like, whatever.
Yeah, I'm just going to roll just to see what happens here.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's see here. Intellect, difficulty 2. Spending 2 effort to roll. Click, click.
Do it.
Boom. Success. 14.
Okay. So, very much sort of like a minority report sign of a style of interface. We actually haven't really gotten to this particular element of this in the story, but so like a minority report kind of a thing. You see the maps just sort of like right there. having the previous experience with the focus that Tajak has, he just kind of reaches out to it and just kind of, expands it. And he starts manipulating with, like these virtual objects sort of in the air. And for the rest of you, you're kind of looking at Tajak. It's like, what the hell is he doing? But, you're just kind of, manipulating and you're pulling things around. And finally, you discover that there is actually a couple of days journey to the north on the way back to Meridian. It's near a hunting lodge as well. And that's only interesting if you're actually playing the actual video game, but I just figured for reference anyways. So like it's a couple of days journey. It's essentially out of the Nora homeland, and sort of in that land between what is essentially where the cut is all the way to the far north, where the Nora homeland is to the south. And then of course to the east, is where the sort of the Karja homeland is. So it's sort of like nestled in, between three, and it's, basically at the foot of a large mountain.
Okay. So once I like boop boop, I unlock the car door. I kind of looked at him and was, I believe we are going this way. And he's still just holding his finger out that way. He just starts walking.
What are the rest of you doing?
I'm not really going to question it. I think I'm just going to shrug my shoulders and follow along.
Tez is going to fall behind a little bit and start asking Krona about this storm stuff. He's been a little dismissive so far, but clearly he is onto something. I mean, ever since we showed up with Krona, crazy things like this have been happening. So.
Krona is telling some long-winded tales to Teos of all the ways that the storm has blessed various different tribesmen of the Utaru over the years. And they're good stories.
I don't know. Teos, are they good stories?
No, Tez is nodding along very seriously. He's taking all of this very seriously for the first time. Like, we've seen him for the entire rest of this game be very kind of accepting but skeptical of all of it. But now he's into it. Oh no.
Well, I wasn't going to enforce the role, but you know what? You do really enjoy these things. He does tell a tall tale that's really good. So I'm sorry, Teus. You're forced to like these, buddy.
I'm into it.
So the journey between Devil's Thirst and the Cauldron is mostly uneventful. Much like the journey between the fort, or the Nora village and the fort, it takes a little bit longer than expected, but already, based on the way the map looked, it was going to be a couple of days walk on foot. Even with, overriding some striders and having mounts, it still takes you a good 2 days to get from Devil's Thirst to the region around where the Cauldron is. And so by the time you actually get there, it's the dawning of the third day, and you're settling into this sort of pace coming in, and the mountains are beginning to kind of loom in front of you where the Cauldron is. Through this journey, you have noticed larger and larger groups of machines moving in packs, some of them being more and more aggressive. You see a couple of groups of bandits that are attacked. You don't choose to intervene given that they're bandits, and you're just not really, feeling, benevolent at that point. You do intercede among a caravan of Karja, taking another shipment to into the Nora homelands. For the most part, it still proves to be a rather, sort of uneventful experience. But as you're getting closer and closer to the sort of the area where you believe the Cauldron is going to be, you get this sort of overwhelming sense of dread as there are larger and larger groups of machines around sort of this area. And so you're able to, kind of skirt and navigate most of these until you come to what looks like sort of the focusing of two sort of I'm not sure what they're called, like ridges, kind of leading you into a sort of a dead end, where on the map it indicates that you'll find the cauldron. It's sort of on the face of the mountain. And as you are journeying closer and closer, you kind of pass through some grasslands and another grove of trees. And as you emerge on the other side, you're going to see the following at a distance of about a quarter mile from where you are to what is considered the entrance of the cauldron. Let me go ahead and move that over for you guys. No, not that one. That's your seeker badge. One more. There you go. So embedded on the side of the mountain is this. It is a interesting sort of triangular structure, sort of built into the side of the mountain. And the mountain climbs very tall above you, a couple of 1,000 feet. This structure standing in front of you is probably 40 feet sort of on the face of the mountain. And the actual entrance itself, as you can see, is the sort of the third triangle, the bottom triangle, and there's all kinds of like running lights on it, very bluish sort of lights, and it shimmers slightly. There's an iridescent sort of like dancing sort of glow right in front of that area. And you can see that sort of, it's just sort of it as the two ridges are just coming together as just one. You can see that it just kind of is at that center point, there at the edge or at the end. And there you can see that there are various little areas to be able to climb up on and kind of get a vantage point if you wanted to look around at this particular position from like an elevation of some kind. And as you were beginning to, as you were continuing to approach and you're getting closer and closer, there's some other things that really begin to stand out to you. There are these sort of reddish glowing areas in the grass and among the stones around the entire area in front of this thing. They're set apart at varying intervals, no more than 20 feet apart from your guesstimation.
In truth, Tues, no one's ever asked about the storm. I just talk about it all the time. I don't even know if I know anything about it, in truth. I don't understand how it works or why it helps us. Just blindly walking and talking. Hasn't noticed any of the scenery that we're approaching.
I'm gonna, because I assume I'm in front of them, I'm gonna like throw my arm out and like assume that Krona's probably gonna run into it.
What's that noise?
All right, guys. So how are you approaching this? I mean, you're still pretty far out, but how are you approaching
You
this?
said there were like stones arranged that were glowing? Is that?
There are stones and like tall grass just sort of in the area, and there are these glowing sources of light. You can't actually see what they are.
Okay. What if I activate my focus? We are to believe this is an ancient place, right?
It's a place of the old ones.
A place of the old ones, yes. I would like to activate my focus.
Do you have any skills do you think that apply here?
I don't really know what I'm looking at, so I don't know. I mean, I have like sensing danger. I don't think that would apply. Or like salvaging Numenera, but I'm not sure if that would apply. Or I guess I have perception.
Well, so you have sensing. So sensing danger actually might apply here because you're in a situation where you have a lot of unknowns going on. I thought there was also something else about Numenera that you had.
You know what I do? I have understanding Numenera.
Yeah, I think that's going to apply here.
Okay, cool. What's the difficulty?
Ooh,
Hit me with it. Let me get that set.
I'm gonna say it's a 3.
It's a 3. Okay. Does the focus count as an asset? Or no, because it's allowing me to actually see anything at all.
No, actually, these are visible to the naked eye. Something you've never encountered before. And yes, the focus would add as an asset. Yeah.
18.
Nice.
Okay. So as you're perceiving this sort of the situation in front of you, tell me a little bit more about how you're going about approaching this. Talk to me a little bit about this.
So are the stones arranged in any way at all, or are they just stones in a field?
They look for the most part to be stones in a field.
And the lights are just like glowing light balls, or where are the lights coming from?
They're coming from various parts of the grass that it's sort of like that make up sort of the stones and everything else around the stones.
Okay.
So, like, you can't actually see the source of light.
Sure.
And
this is like a box canyon, right?
Yes, this is very much sort of like coming into that, that enclosure there.
Okay.
And so as you're kind of using the focus and you're trying to figure out what's going on, you realize that those are some sort of there's some sort of object that can actually be triggered in some way. Describe to me what you would do once you realize that they're like a trigger of some kind, because depending upon that is the information I'll give you next. Like, once you realize, those represent some sort of a trigger.
How would I trigger it? I don't think I would. I think what I would do is pull a card from Teus's book, and I would climb some of the wall of this box canyon to see a top-down view of what this is, right? Like, in Tajak's head, you don't just arbitrarily put blinking lights in nowhere. They are something. Either it's like whatever the equivalent of like a runway is, or they do something. They make a shape, like a constellation or something. So he would try to get an aerial view and look down on this situation and see what it looks like from above.
Okay, so I'm just going to roll with that description, and you move off to one of the sides of this sort of like this closing of the canyon. Mm-hmm. You begin to climb up and get on a lower ledge, where it looks to be like a lower little ledge on sort of the left side. You realize that what inspires you to do that is exactly that. And you figure out that they're definitely going to be triggered. So you want to get, and you walking over them would actually trigger them. So you want to get a higher vantage point to figure out if there's an actual path to get through. So as you kind of climb up and you're kind of looking around, you notice something really interesting. There appears to be grass parting and then closing up after a couple of seconds. And this sort of opening and closing of the grass, it's sort of like it goes like this, and then it goes like this, moving in a path. But you can't see if anything's actually making the grass move.
And the lights are coming from that grass?
No, it appears to be avoiding that grass or those lights. But up here from that vantage point, you can actually see a little bit more about these glowing sources of light. They appear to be little discs with sort of an outer edge that is made of metal and a glowing sort of pulsing material at the center of it.
Oh, okay. Tajak from he's realistically like 5 feet up on the cliff, but he feels very high. He leans like he could have jumped and grabbed on, but he leans back, hugging close to the mountainside, which is what he's clearly on, and shouts back to everyone in quiet Tajak voice. I believe the lights are traps. I think they will kill you. And then he slowly begins to climb down ever so delicately.
High up on the other side of the cliff, as you're climbing down, you notice that the other side of this sort of like cliff face opposite to you, you notice that there's a much taller ledge up there, probably a good 40 feet up, but you also see a much smaller shaped object like you see in front of you, the cauldron entrance, but there is no sort of like door there. There's just a dark sort of entryway, and there is no shimmering either.
Once he dramatically lands, like you get like, when you're a child and you have to make that he gets like a foot off the ground and then jumps. I think I have found a back entrance. It's up there. And he points up the cliff. Teus, if you wouldn't mind.
Lucky entrance if it's closer to the sky.
Is that how that works?
think that has any relevance.
It seems to make sense to me.
Fair enough. Just kind of begins walking over, rubbing his hands a little bit. Maybe like kind of reaches down and gets a little dirt on him for people use clay, get a little bit better grip, and starts climbing.
We should have given him a rope before he.
Mom arm.
Right up there.
But the stones. What about the stones?
I think the stones are just stones.
But what about the traps?
The lights are the traps. I think if you walk near them, they, I don't know, do something terrible to you.
Well, I'll try to avoid the lights.
Well, the lights are on the ground, so.
He's like calling back down. He's like, I think I'm all right.
You're fine.
Roll me something for that climb.
Just anything you want. Just roll.
I'll choose to roll bow for this. I have climbing. What's the difficulty?
Difficulty here is 3. It's a sort of a much sort of sheerer face to get up this one, and the handholds for you to be able to climb are a little bit more difficult for you to grab onto.
Okay.
Sadly, it is a couple of days later, and you are no longer trained in climbing because the storm did not tell you a story about.
I actually was
climbing.
Always trained in climbing, Johnny.
I understand that, but you are no longer, skilled?
Super duper trained in climbing.
You are no longer, an awesome
secret training. All right, I will spend some effort here. My edge is 2, so it costs 1, correct? I'm doing that right?
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to double check. It's been a couple weeks.
Just a couple of weeks. Not like a week. It's just been a couple.
That's a 14. That's a 14.
You are able to continue climbing up and shimmy your way to the top. And as you're kind of able to assess the situation from that ridge, that sort of ledge, you see into the sort of the entrance of this sort of much smaller structure right here that looks to be about the size of a man. And it retains about the same orientation and aspect ratio, but for your height, not the 20-foot tall that you see in front of you at the cauldron entrance. From it, you can feel a cold, sort of weird draft of air just sort of coming out of it as you get a chill, as you kind of look down it, and you can see sort of vague purple, sort of like glowing pulsing, but you can't really tell what's actually causing that. As you kind of turn around and look back towards the group, looking down, you also see exactly what Tajak saw. You see these sort of like objects sort of like spread out around. You can see where the sources of light are coming from. You also see the grass, kind of like shimmering and moving as like an object is like passing around it. And then, it sort of closes like this after a couple of, seconds. And you notice that there are 3 of them doing that. As you kind of assess the situation, there are 3, things that are just kind of, areas of like the grass sort of opening and then closing as if it's being spread by something moving, but you can't see anything. What do you do?
Oh boy. So I look to the figures. Are they doing anything? Like, are they? Like, I'm gonna wait a little bit and see if they change how they react at all, like to me. Or does it seem like it's staying static?
What seem like it's staying static? The sort of the shapes that are the things that the parting of the grass as it's moving around.
Yeah, like does it seem to like the effect is changing because of like my interaction, or does it seem like I'm now seeing the interaction that's happening? You're seeing the interaction that's happening. You're not seeing any change in it.
you're just seeing that there are these three sort of like parting and kind of like folding back together of the grass. It's really strange because it's unsettling because it's almost like the wind is blowing and sort of blowing that grass apart, and then it just kind of passes through and sort of comes back.
What now?
Is there not an opening up there?
Some kind of opening.
Does it open or not? I don't understand. Can you fit inside the opening?
Definitely not.
Oh. Could we fit inside the opening?
Still no.
Oh.
Wait a minute. I have a question for you, Tues. What makes you think you can't fit through the opening? I said it was man-sized. I think it was.
I thought you said it was hand-sized.
Oh no.
Yeah, I'm like
No.
Okay, walk that back. Yeah, you say like, can you fit inside? He's like, probably.
Oh. Well then, could you throw a rope down?
Sure.
I would assume this giant door is locked, and I don't have a key, and I also don't want to walk through the giant field of bad lights.
Yeah, hold on. Just like it's like still like kind of clinging to the side of the rocks. That's like rummaging in a like kind of like nudges in and like sits on the ledge with the opening.
Do we think he has a rope?
Like looking around, like trying to find something that seems.
I don't even know that he has rope.
I don't know that he has rope either.
Ultimately, we could have shot one of those rope arrows you had up there. But
I've got extra bowstrings.
Tues is the greatest climber in all the lands. He doesn't need a rope.
Right, but we do.
We need a rope.
He'll carry us.
But he's already there.
Well, have you heard the tale of the Utaru who climbed the tallest mountain in the Utaru lands?
I'm sure the wind pushed him, right?
From the storm.
Well, in a way, because, you see, this clever one stole the wings of wind itself from the middle of the storm. And that is the tale.
While he's talking, I'm going to...
The sun sets.
I want to throw a rope spear thing up.
At Tues.
Okay. All right.
Directly at Tues. Just kidding.
Difficulty 3.
Okay.
Can I help by being real good at catching?
How can you be really good at catching? Do you have a skill at really good catching?
Let me see.
I feel like he might even have
Something relevant.
skill at catching.
I feel like Tues studied to be a baseball star as a kid, and it just didn't pan out. And so like he's just been making it ever since.
Yo, I can perform an impressive feat of strength, speed, or combat. I would say snagging an arrow out of the air sounds exactly like that.
It sure does.
Okay, wait a minute.
Hold on, let me
be clear about this. It's something you can do automatically, or is it something?
I think I have to spend effort to do this. Yes, I spend two effort or 2 edge minus 2, or two effort minus 2 because of my edge, and I perform a feat of strength, speed, impressing those nearby. For the next minute, I get an asset in all interaction tests with people who saw it.
I'm impressed.
It seems like I could just do it. Am I wrong?
So do I have to roll?
It's an action.
You are definitely gonna have to roll, but he is definitely gonna be able to do it if you succeed.
Yeah, so you got to roll to shoot the arrow in the right place. But if you succeed, I can snag it out of the air.
We go, right? No? Yes?
Yeah, that's right. All right. Farah, Tues, describe to me what it's like when you shoot the arrow and then you throw the spear and then grab the spear out of the air.
Tues, get ready.
All right.
And I'm going to shoot it.
Try not to hit me.
No promises.
And you see, it was actually the first time that Nutaro had ever climbed a mountain.
And I'm gonna.
People are quite apprehensive of such deeds, and so.
You would think that the mountain would bring you closer to the storm.
Yes, but for that reason, we've always revered it and feared it.
So then Pharaoh throws the spear.
So then Pharaoh throws the spear. And Tues, what does it look like when you catch it?
I think like it's like hurtling up towards the rock face, like trailing the rope there, and he kind of leans way out, dangerously out on the ledge, and snags it and reels it on in, and then plants it into the rock face and kind of leans down against the spear to anchor it so that they can climb up. And then once it's nice and anchored, he'll poke his head back over and call down and say, all right, I think we got this.
This is much more impressive than that fight with the Watchers.
I'm impressed.
He might actually have a purpose of being with us.
Oh, ruthless!
Wow.
Freaking ruthless!
Wow.
That's just cruel. Tues has been useful many times.
Golly.
Remember the horn.
Oh yeah, the horn.
At least twice.
Yes, the horn he's used in every single adventure we've been on.
It saved us a handful of times.
At least one handful of horn times.
I'll climb up the rope, and when I get to the top, I'll just be like, that was impressive.
I'm giving you a difficulty climbing roll from you.
Uh-oh.
We're trained in climbing now because of the story.
There was that story, yeah.
All right, so then that makes it so add it as an asset. So it's still difficulty 2, but you're going to knock it down to 1. So
Is that speed? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Right?
I'd say it's mine.
Well, for her it might be speed because of the way that the Nora are trained. It's all about the agility of it. It's not like a sort of a massive sort of like I'm big, burly, and strong. Unlike Tues, who might is for everything. So it really is depending upon sort of the background of the tribe, I guess.
Gotcha.
And I'm gonna like pat him on the shoulder and like approval, like solemn approval.
Who's next?
I will go, and I will use my vast stores of intellect to assess this rope. No, I'll just climb.
I would love to see that. Actually, again, it is the finale. I'm willing to roll with whatever is going to work.
I can't think my way up a rope. I tried it in gym class for years. It doesn't work. What is the difficulty?
The difficulty is 2. Remember that you're trained, though, so that is an asset.
Yes, I will just take the asset. Boom! Nailed it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, totally.
I didn't nail it. 5 beats a 3.
All right, Corona.
Last but not least, eats shit.
I am going to spend an XP to reroll that because I do have the from my confident focus, my confident outlook, GM intrusions happen on a 2. So I am going to spend an XP to reroll that.
So here's what I'm going to say about that. There's still going to be a GM intrusion even if you succeed. So go for it, buddy.
Okay. But at least we'll get paid for it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
There we go.
Nice.
You guys took all my luck.
Oh, we're so sorry.
Okay. So you're able to kind of shimmy up, but you're having more difficulty than anybody else, Corona. And so at one point, you kind of like place your foot on one of the sort of like handholds that everybody else was just kind of like able to, kind of do on the space of the rock. And you just put a little bit too much weight and you kind of slip and you're having to hold on and kind of dangle there for a second as you begin to, kind of climb back up. But as you do that, you dislodge a number of little stones and they go cascading sort of down the side of the cliff and start rolling in and over. And one of them rolls right over one of these sort of like red blinky lights thing. And so as you're kind of being helped up and pulled up to the top, the four of you are able, your turn as this thing goes off. And it goes off and fires a flare straight up into the air, almost as high as where the four of you are on this ledge. It just goes up and it just sort of hangs there. And it's slowly sort of like, kind of sprinkly, kind of like twinkling and burning, and it's brighter than the day, but it's just beginning to slowly fall. And you're all kind of like, amazed by this for just a second because you thought that it was actually, going to explode. That's when you hear the crumpling and rustling of the grass on the ground. And three shapes become visible all at the same time and are just kind of converging on that area. And what you see is the following. Where the hell is this thing? Oh, damn it. Did I not put it up here?
Oh, I guess we can't fight it.
Shit.
I guess.
Well, you were going to fight it anyways. You guys passed it. You're fine. You actually, you survived it. That's not it either. Damn it. All right. So it's this sort of long, sort of sleek, sort of thin thing that just kind of like comes, just out of like, it kind of like forms out of nowhere. And as it becomes visible, each of these become visible. It's just, this incredibly sort of sleek, sort of looking, what looks like to be about a sawtooth, a little bit smaller though, somewhere between a sawtooth and a scrapper. Here's the weird thing about it though. It's got an incredibly long tail, not unlike the Corruptor, that kind of swings around and has, this sort of this like pincer thing at the end. And it's like striking the ground all around where the flare went off. All three of them are doing it. And they're kind of just like looking and assessing the situation. And you all are just kind of like holding your breath, kind of looking down at this thing. What are you doing?
Climbing into that hole.
When Krona reaches the top, Krona, next time you're riding Tues' back.
I take it all back, Tues. This climbing thing is a hell of a lot harder than I expected.
I trained for literally years to be able to do this. It is rather frustrating that you guys take it for granted the way you do. Just kind of turns and continues to starts following Tajak.
Okay, so as the four...
Did that thing go back in the ground?
No, it's slowly floating down. If the four of you, if any of you continue to watch, this is what you see next. As the strikes is done and they're all kind of like assessing the situation, the three just kind of begin to split again. They go back to where they were. And on their back starts popping off these weird sort of red twinkling things. And when they land, they end up being more of these flare sort of things that are on the ground.
Oh, fuck that.
And after that, as it's okay, as they're kind of falling off, popping off, and doing this, and once like a bunch of them comes off of each of them, they slowly begin to turn invisible again. And that's when you see that they were making the path through the grass as they're kind of navigating their way on some sort of like invisible path.
Well, they're mines? Fuck that. Fuck all that noise.
They don't look like they're like signaling other
No, they are just those those flares look to be some sort of like sort of trapping warning mechanism is what the four of you are able to assess when you get a chance to actually kind of like put your heads together and think about it.
It's cool.
And so, say what?
I'm going in that hole. Get me away from those things. Shoot
All four of you?
mines out of their back.
Yeah, I'm following Tajak. If Tajak gets too far away from the group, bad things happen.
Usually to the group.
This is horrible. It's absolutely horrible. All
or
right.
light something on fire. One of the two.
The four of you kind of make your way into this sort of this side entrance into the cauldron. By the way, that was going to be a nasty encounter. Good job just completely circumventing it.
Thanks.
That was the whole point of you doing it. If there was going to be a fight, I was not looking forward to it. All right.
Fuck that.
So the four of you enter, and at first your eyes are trying to adjust in the darkness. Then as your eyes, really kind of like are able to kind of like assess what's going on in the dark, you find yourself in sort of this weird sort of tunnel that like has all these like wired conduits. For Tajak, what he recognizes about this is this looks in some ways like the wiring that is like sewn into your skin, and also like the wire that is pulled from various types of machines. But in here, it's not pulsing blue. It's pulsing sort of a dull, sort of darkish purple that brightens and then, diminishes and brightens and diminishes. And it pulses together down this sort of tunnel, almost as if like it's welcoming you in, but it's also like, it's pulsing with life. It is just like sort of this just throbbing, and there's this low hum that's going on. And so as the four of you make your way, down this tunnel, the light, as you get deeper and deeper into it, it becomes, more glowing and more sort of, like stronger sort of a color purple. And at one point you come to what is the end of this sort of tunnel, and you find yourself on a ledge overlooking a pool of water. And then it's about 20 feet down. And then on the other side of the pool water looks to be more of sort of a weird sort of structure that matches the architecture and the design of what you saw outside with the two entrances.
Is there like an obvious way to open it?
It's not. So it's not like it's not a door. It's just like it looks like the architecture of it. It's not actually a door.
Okay.
Itself.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just like it's more structure that's sort of like wrapping around this pathway forward.
I mean, Tajak has his focus on, and he's recording again in the same way when we were in the matron sanctum, or the matriarch sanctum. As he proceeds further and further, he's. I mean, obviously, Aloy sent us here to find something. We don't know what the hell that is, but this archway is not it. So Tajak just kind of keeps walking until either he sees something or Silence sees something and points it out to him. I'm pretty sure we're looking for like an ancient being, Cyan, right? Is that who we're looking for?
I feel like it was a control tower, right? That's what my notes say.
It is a control tower for Hephaestus. Cyan
Cyan was the other one that she talked to.
Yeah, she was going to go visit Cyan in what is known as the Cut.
Right. Yeah, so we're looking for something, and I feel like it's going to stick out. So he just kind of continues walking unless someone stops him.
Tajak, is the machine song speaking to you? Do you know something?
I mean, I know a great many things, but are you asking about something specifically?
Well, you seem to just be going.
Yes, I believe we're looking for a control tower. And none of the things that we've seen have looked like a tower or any kind of control.
Well, that robot did.
You're right. The robot did. But that was a long neck. That's what Aloy told us. I assume they're two separate things, or this would be a very easy task. We wouldn't need to be here.
I agree. I'm just pointing out that did look like a tower.
Very astute of you. I appreciate
It
that.
did look quite like a tower.
It really did. A keen observation. He just kind of looks back to Feyre and says, unless you see a tower that I do not see.
Nope, I don't see a tower. I'll just follow you.
Oh, I'm just walking in a straight line.
I will follow you in that straight line.
And he just continues to walk. You just see him sort of bobbing along the path.
Oh,
Go ahead.
I have a question for you, though, Tajak.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm not blaming you, but when I was on top of that big creature, I forgot the name of it.
Override.
My override wasn't working the way it usually did, and the last person to really mess with it was you. Did you accidentally do something to it that you forgot to mention?
Oh, well, I disassembled the entire thing and re-put it back together so I could make the other ones work. Perhaps I could take a look at it for you.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, great. And he
He
takes
doesn't seem deceptive to me, does he?
I don't know. You want to roll it and find out if he's deceptive?
Yes, I do.
Sure.
What do you think they're Tajak?
I have an inability. I mean, I did do that. I just left out the part where I gave her back the wrong one.
Okay, does it seem like he's telling me the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I have an inability in deception, so if you want to roll off, what we could do, I guess, is roll whatever your just discern deception skill would be. If not, it would be intelligence, and then I'll roll against you or something.
So
I
just
think
roll
that's a great idea.
Yeah, just roll difficulty 0, and whatever you get, I have to beat.
Oh.
8. I have an inability, so it makes it much harder for me. So 8 beats a 2, so I have to beat a difficulty 3. Holy shit!
Oh, damn it.
Wow.
Ajak, can you do me a favor, buddy?
Sure.
Can you spin a really good lie here that just totally,
No, I don't. I think the deception is that he only speaks in one monotone voice, and you can't see his face because there's all like the leather straps coming down from the helmet, so there's no way to tell he's lying.
Okay.
You just can't. It's like he's wearing a mask.
Tajak, I'd really appreciate it then maybe if you'd look at it again when we have a minute and see if we can fix what's wrong with it.
Oh, I can take a minute right now. We're not doing anything important. And he puts his hand out for the override.
No, we can wait. It's fine.
Oh, okay. Well then. And he continues down the path.
Okay.
It's the finale. What's happening?
Everything's totally normal.
Yeah, we're fine. Everybody's fine. How are you?
Hey, Tajak, I'm sure that we're becoming friends and you would never deceive me, right?
That is true. We are becoming friends.
God.
What happened, Keith? What was this?
No. I'm trained. I had to know.
You are absolutely charmed.
It seems oddly convincing.
Not only are you charmed by what he's suggesting,
Son of a bitch.
It's Krona who sort of stumbles ahead, and kind of like, just he's listening to this exchange, and you just keep walking, but you're kind of stumbling ahead, and you stumble forward, and you almost fall off a ledge as you can sort of come around a corner, and this is what the interior of a cauldron actually looks like. Now, if I can slide it all the way across, no, I can't. We'll have to wait.
Can we have one of those like moments as this is happening where like we see like Krona go off the edge, like, and then the shot has like him like falling and getting caught by a shirt, and Taz is just like standing there. He's like,
it's one of the bells on a.
Yes, the very end of the poncho.
by a bell on the poncho, and he's like pinwheeling his arms as he gets pulled in.
So as you do that, you kind of grab him and kind of pull him back. You see sort of this sort of like scene in front of you. This is what the interior of the cauldron actually looks like. It is sort of weird and like weird light sources coming from various directions. The light is much stronger from certain sources. There are all kinds of things sort of moving around. If you had a cultural reference for this, it would like be going to the city of 01 in the Matrix, right? Like Matrix Revolutions, that's 01. It's just like this sort of crazy sort of like, sort of technology kind of thing. You see along sort of there's ledge that you guys are sort of standing on, sort of like the middle tier sort of thing, that like where you see the figure in the picture who's actually supposed to be Aloy in this particular picture. You see that you're sort of on a walkway that kind of navigates around and sort of ends along the side, and you see it sort of continue on the other side. Below you, about 20 feet looks to be an area that you could traverse down via a ramp. But what you see down there is various watchers and scrappers, kind of moving around, and they're walking in a patrol pattern of some kind. And there's just like lots of activity down there. Above you, you can see at the center where I'm pinging right now, you can see these weird sort of arm things that are kind of reaching down, right? And occasionally what happens is something sort of passes over your head between these things, but it looks like it's floating as if nothing is holding it up, but it's just like floating and passing along sort of these like sort of attachments right here, and it just keeps going forward. And it just kind of disappears around a corner. Like
a droid kind of thing?
Not so much. I think Keith pointed out in the chat. It's sort of like they're attached. They're being sort of like pushed via like some sort of magnetic power kind of a thing. They're being moved from one sort of block of these arms to the other. And the arms kind of come in and like grab the thing, but like they're holding on to. They're like it's like magnetic energy just kind of pushing it forward, and then they'll split back again.
Oh.
I believe this is what we're looking for. This seems adequately controlling and towering.
Seems like a death trap, which would fit.
Think we should maybe go to Alloy?
Well, she's not actually there, so that's that's just her figure in the picture. Sorry. But so as you all are kind of assessing this situation in. Tajak, at the lower right-hand part of your screen, the control tower is at the center of this thing.
Is there a way to get to the center of this thing? Is there like a bridge over this gap I'm seeing here?
No, but there appears to be some sort of a ledge that links you or that can get you very close to where these these sort of these boxes, essentially these crates full of things, are kind of like passing above you. And if you look very closely, you can actually see that there's like grips that you can kind of grab on and hang on to under these things.
Oh, I don't like this at all. I believe we have to leap over this giant chasm to get into that door.
There is 0% chance that you can do that.
I know. That's why I said I don't like this plan at all.
I don't have any stories for this one.
No one jumps in the Utaro tribe.
Not like this.
That was so perfect.
I'm sorry. I gotta say, I love the evolution of where Krona is right now.
Oh, God, that was so good.
In that case, after today, you will have at least one story. And he looks over the edge into the chasm below.
All right. Well, the way I see it, the best way of going about this is probably not one that you guys are going to like a lot. Feyre's pretty good at climbing and swinging on that, and I'm good at throwing things.
And the whole time you hear Tajak just mm-hmming you, he's already crouched down in some corner, and you can see that he's working on something.
So I'm thinking Feyre goes to the other side, and I just kind of hook you over.
What are you working on there, Tajak?
Just this. And Johnny, I'm going to use right tool for the job, my ability. And I get up and I'm holding this small rod, probably 8-inch rod, and then I press in both ends, and it just extends, it's part of a series of it's a series of pistons from different machine parts that just and I've made a pole vault.
And what does Tajak plan to do with that pole vault?
Vault over the chasm. That's what you do with pole vaults.
All right.
How far away? How wide is this chasm?
It's about 20 feet.
Yeah, that seems like. I mean, I was going to have to
Really
jump on a
bad
box.
idea.
It seems fine. It seems absolutely fine. I'm going to pole vault.
All right. While Tajak is building a pole vault, what are the rest of you doing?
Oh, Krona is definitely limbering up right now. There's a lot of like stretching and very serious stretching going on. And I'm using my confident outlook to convince myself that I'm good at jumping by concentrating really intensely on how good at jumping I am.
All right, so maybe the throwing people plan is not great, but what about this? We could use that rope and try to swing across with Feyre's arrow rope trick.
That is equally plausible.
Like, and then swing?
Yeah, like you see all that crazy stuff up there, you shoot an arrow and get it stuck up there, and we just swing across.
But they are moving.
Not one of the moving ones, one of the fixtures.
Oh.
I actually think that's a pretty good idea.
Well, don't sound so surprised.
I'm not intending to be so.
Yes, you were.
Perfect. It's so good.
He is the master of climbing, after all.
Oh, man.
But I will shoot a spear rope
Okay.
and hope it winds around it to hold it.
Johnny, I jumped the chasm.
You jump first, or do you wait because you can see that she's preparing to do what she's about to do?
No, Tajak has an idea set in his head, and he just does it.
He just goes and pole vaults.
He just pole vaults. He looks and goes, that seems like an equally plausible idea. And like as she like pulls back on the arrow, you just see Tajak running. You just see like a hat wobble and like ribbons just fly back like Krona's cape as he's running with the thing. He's gonna launch himself.
This is going to be a difficulty 4.
Okay.
But your pole is definitely going to. Or sorry, yeah, your pole is going to act as an asset.
That's what the ability does. It gives me an asset for any task that I need. So I'm gonna go ahead and spend. So difficulty 4.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna spend 2 effort and an asset.
Oh Jesus!
Yes, suck it. That was barely a pass. As you just see him, that sounds like a plausible idea. Ting! You just see like a just display of ribbons just slowly go across to the other side, and then you hear like a ting as the pole snaps and he unceremoniously lands. Hat topples off. He puts it back on, and the pole like snaps and falls into the ravine. I've made it.
As it does fall into the ravine,
Yep.
it clambers on top of a scrapper that is currently patrolling in there.
Fuck you.
And the scrapper immediately just kind of turns and starts scanning the area. You're going to receive 1 XP and another XP for somebody else to spend.
Okay. I will give... you know what? I'm going to give the XP to Krona because he's going to need it the most, I think.
Okay. All right. Feyre, as you're kind of assessing the situation, you see him go flying over the pole, just kind of like lands in there, and then all of a sudden there's a scrapper that's just kind of scanning the area. Are you going to continue to do what you're doing, or are you going to wait? What's your plan here?
I'm going to wait if I see the scrapper.
Can I jump in?
What?
Can I go next?
I thought you meant, can I jump in?
Jump in. No, not like that. Jump in like the initiative.
Feyre really makes a smart move and just sort of backs away and pauses. What crazy idea does Krona have now?
Krona shouts to Tajak, Tajak, take cover! Look out! And I'm using Inspire Action, my new tier 2 thing, which basically lets him, if he follows my instructions, takes a free action. Like I give up my turn and he does what I instruct. If you choose to.
Me?
Does
yes,
that cost you anything?
It does. It costs me 4.
Can I make a recommendation? You're
Sure.
not to the big bad at the end of this yet. I'm just gonna say you warn him to do that because we're not in an initiative right now. I think you want to hold on to those, buddy. I'm just saying that.
Okay. I mean, I have 2 edge, so it would only cost me 2, but
I'm still gonna suggest you hold on to it.
okay, I will.
Yeah, do I notice the scrapper?
Well, you notice that your part of your pole just begins to fall, and you see Feyre react. She's kind of looking down, and she just kind of steps back just a little bit. You know that she's reacting to something that is alert to that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if especially if Krona points it out, I'll definitely just see him hunker down into what you assume is his chair.
Okay. All right. So while Feyre is waiting and Krona has made his yell, does Tues want to do anything before we continue sort of like on here?
No, I'm just waiting for my excellent plan to be ready, and then swing across on some ropes.
All right, so the 3 of you waiting on the other side kind of take your time, and you realize that the scrapper's just kind of standing around and looking around, and then it calms and begins to go back on its path, giving Feyre an opportunity to now take her action without being noticed. So go ahead and roll us. It's going to be a difficulty 4.
Difficulty 4. Oops.
Oh, all right. You kind
Are
of
you trained in anything that might help? Jumping or climbing, perhaps?
do you have any
My
XP
story?
that you want to spend here?
A what?
Do you have any XP that you want to
I
spend
have
here?
plenty of XP. I'll do that.
You should do that and re-roll.
I will do that. There we go.
Nice.
Excellent. Your spear goes, flinging up sort of into sort of the upper part of this thing, connecting into some of the wires that are sort of like running along the top of this. And it just kind of like, embeds itself, and the rope that you've got attached to it is still sort of there, giving you an opportunity to make your swing. Now, each of you is going to need to make, each of you who takes this particular route is going to need to make me some sort of either speed or might roll, depending
I'm
upon what.
actually not going to go first. I'm going to hand the end of the rope to Tues.
Yeah. Tues sees the logic in this because he's the heaviest of the group. So if he can get across, it's probably bodes well for everyone.
And
So
you
he's
can
gonna,
jump if it, right? Like
yeah. He's gonna run and take a flying leap and swing, and hopefully not die. I could just use my impressive display again, but that kind of feels like cheating, so I'm gonna just roll. Can I use climbing?
You are more than no. Well, wait a minute. How is this going to be climbing?
Then I'll just roll might.
No. Explain to me how it's going to be climbing. I'm willing to allow
I'm
it.
thinking like climbing would help with like swinging,
Okay.
like being used to like high places and moving your body in like a way that is like facilitated, facilitating this kind of thing. It's kind of a stretch. I'll give it to you.
Okay. Well, I'm going to give it to you anyways, but it's still going to be difficulty 4.
All right. Where did my rolly stuff go? All right, difficulty 4. I am going to spend some effort from my might pool, and Oh boy.
Am I seeing that right?
What was the difficulty originally?
I think I rolled it wrong. Let me re-roll it because that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right. I think I screwed something.
What
up.
difficulty was it originally?
It was supposed to be 4.
So you would have failed. You would have needed a 6 to beat a 4. So you had a 4, which would have been a 12, which you reduced down to a difficulty 2 with your 1 training and your 1 effort, which would have needed a difficulty. A difficulty 2 would have needed a dice roll of 6 to beat. You rolled a 5.
Awesome. I fail then. So yeah, I swing and I fail. What happens?
I'd like you to tell me what happens. You know the scene, how it's set. You could also XP reroll as Krona is suggesting.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I won't alert all of the monsters right now.
You won't alert all the monsters yet.
Leave that for Krona, please.
I'm doing the same thing I tried.
It's his job. Stories and alerting monsters.
That is what I'm best at. Rolling down hills into monsters.
Boom! That's good. That one works. Yeah.
All right.
You ever notice that there's a hill at every big encounter we have?
Taz like swings across and like for a second like the spear like I think like shifts and then like it seems like it might fall for a second but like it shifts itself into like a more secure location. Like it just needed to like wiggle a little bit and then it falls into place against like a groove and he swings across safely.
And landing on the other side, you find Tejak just sort of,
chilling.
Yeah. Next.
In fact, once you land, you hear...
Oh, God. I just kick you.
Oh, have you all... Oh. I'm still waiting.
I think I've got the hang of this. Cronus finishes up limbering up and there still is a rope, right, to swing on? That's still a thing? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Is that an asset?
That is an asset.
All right. I'm going to apply effort, and I'm trained in jumping because I convinced myself that I am.
Nice. All right. Narrate us across the threshold with you.
Krona runs and leaps, and the poncho is billowing, and the bells are jingling, and grabs hold of the rope in midair. And it seems like it was almost totally perfect, except for the rain stick fell out of his belt and clattered to the ground below. But otherwise, sticked a perfect landing.
The rain stick, no.
Yeah, slow motion for a moment as Krono's trying to catch it out of midair, but I just threw that in there, for some reason.
For color, because what happens next is as the GM intrusion and you'll get 1 XP, and I'm going to suggest that you give it to Kai because Feyre might actually need it. No, but it's just that's me. That's what I'm going to say. So as you're swinging across, Feyre, you're looking forward and you see the rain stick sort of just fall off of his pack and just kind of begin to tumble down as it's making its noise, as all of the machines kind of look up and catch the rain sticks kind of falling and jump onto it as Krona gets to the other side. So what are you going to do with that XP there, Krona? No pressure though, buddy.
Yeah, I'll send it to Kai. For the time that I definitely didn't abandon her.
So, Feyre, you were just like, you're seeing all of this, this like activity below, and you see them looking up and you see the machines looking down, and there's like 4 different machines kind of assessing the situation, and they're starting to spread out a little bit, but they look like they're in scanning mode. What do you want to do?
Can I try to go quick while they still are focused on the rain stick?
You sure can. Difficulty 5.
Oh my gosh.
Because this is going to require an element of like you doing like this, like a bat out of hell and not being seen still.
Oh,
There's this really interesting thing that just happened. So you got an asset, plus you actually put some effort into that too, right? Is that what I'm seeing?
Yeah.
Okay, so that actually would have been a difficulty 3 for you because of the asset, but you still would have failed. I'm gonna suggest though that XP that Krona just gave you, that I made sure he gave you, you use that and reroll.
Yeah, I'm gonna use that. So it'd be difficulty 3 instead.
Well, so it's a difficulty 5, but you'll have your effort, or if you want to spend it again, and then your asset, which is going to reduce it by 1 anyways. Also climbing, apparently. So I guess it's a difficulty 2, because you'll have 2 assets.
Okay. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna roll with that.
Oh.
That's the worst thing you can roll.
I'm gonna roll again, just one more time.
Okay, that sounds lovely. I think that's just a beautiful sort of.
There we go.
Awesome.
I feel like I'll swing across, but it'll be not as graceful as previously, and maybe I'll like slam into Tues or something on the other side.
It's just like running into a brick wall. He just turns around. No. You all right?
Yep. I'm good. And
That went perfectly fine.
Rona.
I couldn't have expected anything better from that.
I could have like not dropping your rate.
Yeah, it's certainly a small price that I will have feelings about later. But in this moment, it's best to press on.
So sad. So
That was
sad.
my raid stick. It's the only one from the Utaru tribe to remain.
It's the only one that was ever made by the entire tribe.
Well, they were all wiped out, so...
Well, that's fair. Tajak rises and his chair disappears. Are we all ready to go?
Yeah. Where's this tower?
I assume through this door. Here.
Starts walking through the door.
Are there any creatures coming near us or in?
There are no machines, up on this particular level. For whatever reason, they seem to be, sort of like congregating, below you at the level below. It does seem unusual, though. So, I'm assuming that the 4 of you are continuing to move on.
I'm following Tues.
So the 4 of you continue along this ledge and find yourself, kind of like moving deeper and deeper into this sort of thing. Occasionally, these sort of like boxy cargo containers are passing along and sort of the armed things. And there's another sort of situation like another example or another, same exact situation that you all sort of went through, which is, the 4 of you need to cross another chasm to get to the other side, right? And so we're just going to, sort of like narratively brush on that. And you guys just, taking the experience that you've just had, you follow that along as well. And you have to do that a couple of more times as you're digging in deeper, into the cauldron. A couple of things you notice the farther and farther you get in. It moves from just scrappers and watchers to you see occasionally a sawtooth. And then at another point, you actually see a bellowback. And it appears to be moving and sloshing around. And of course, it's got that weird sort of like, neon green sort of liquid just kind of sloshing around on the backside of it. Deeper and deeper. And it's a couple of hours that you guys are sort of like navigating through all of this, going farther and farther in. And at one point, you see another bellowback that strikes you as odd because the liquid inside of it is sort of this bluish white, and it's just sort of sloshing around, and it's really just very unsettling because you haven't encountered that yet until finally you walk through a tunnel and you find yourself coming out sort of like what there's a short tunnel to the other side, and what you see in front of you looks like this.
Oh, that is not great.
this sort of weird sort of electric, sort of energy sort of pulsing back and forth as these arms have come down from the top. And there's these articulations, 4 or 5 on each side, all appear to be working on this sort of thing that's got like right in front of you. Surrounding it in that sort of dome thing, it looks to be some sort of like shimmering, like, sort of like area of light. And there is just this pulsing sort of energy that just, kind of just, it shimmers and pulses and just kind of dances across. And this thing is just sort of inert in there. But what you're seeing sort of in this, apparatus that it's like, with all of electricity and stuff, is an incredibly large machine. From what you can tell based on its height, just the way it is, it looks to be about 30 feet tall. But it also looks like it's standing on its legs in such a way that it's not actually standing on its full height. It's incredibly long. And this is off the ledge and sort of down in sort of this like incredibly large area. There is no tower to be seen at all. But for Tajak, there's a little like display, message that comes in. You're close.
I take it back. Not all lightning is the storm. That is an abomination.
I think we're close.
I got to imagine that has something to do with what we were sent here for.
Well, it appears as though it is reconstructing one of the machines. And I'm now understanding that if the machine song flows through this mountain, perhaps it is sung by the control tower. And if we stop the control tower, we stop the creation of these machines. And whatever the heck that is.
Sounds about right.
Well, okay.
Another text message comes in your right-hand side. It's not a reconstructed machine. That is a new machine.
Send back the poop emojis.
I do the upside down smiley face. Oh. Okay. This way. And I'm going to walk around this giant monstrosity.
So you need to actually rappel down first because it's down like 30 feet.
I don't want to do that.
We could narratively brush aside this that it all just sort of works out.
I don't want to do that, Johnny.
I want to do that.
What? Is it just like sheer metal cliff face?
It is actually. There's like a little ledge, and then kind of dips inside because you can see that the actual area for this room is incredibly large. Like it's the largest like sort of room structure you've ever seen. It is gigantic in here, and the ceiling probably goes up 70 or 80 feet. And these arm articulations that are coming down are coming from massive sort of like machine tendril things that are just like kind of working on this.
I make a pole vault and I jump across the whole room.
That's going to be a difficulty 9 because it would be really horrible to give you. I'm just going up.
Cool. I don't have any rope, guys.
I already established that I don't have rope. I don't know.
Do I have infinite amounts of rope?
Well, actually, hold on. I have an explorer's pack. That has to include rope, right?
Oh, probably.
Sure. Yeah. Tez pulls out some rope. He's like, "Oh, hey, remember how I said I didn't have rope before? Well, I found some."
Oh.
So, who's good at tying knots?
Me.
I'm great at tying knots.
Anyone?
Hands to Crota. He has never led me wrong so far.
Krona is going to use an action before doing that to do a recovery.
Yeah, I'm going to do that too, actually.
Entirely because it refreshes my confident skill, which I am now changing to rope tying. So I'm really convincing myself that I'm good at tying ropes. I'm excellent at tying ropes. In the Utaru tribe, they say the strongest knot makes the strongest man or woman. It's a genderless role, tying knots in the Utaru tribe.
Yeah.
What kind of a knot? What are we doing here?
Just tie the one that holds when I try to climb down. He's gonna say that as he's like preparing to like rappel down, like rappelling style. If that
Perfect.
I think the Krona should go on your back.
Probably. He didn't really did a bad job last time.
It's coming from the person who rolled 2 failures.
Yeah.
Roll it.
I'm rolling it.
It's going to be a difficulty 2. It's an easy knot to do.
Yes, it's the storm knot. I'm quite familiar with it.
The knot of the storm.
Everyone knows the storm knot. Perfect.
All right. Describe this elaborate knot that the storm is now tying.
Yeah, I think there's several false starts to this knot. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. It's been a moment since I've tied this. It starts like this. And then finally, like, finish, pull it, and it doesn't work at all. Like, it completely comes untied. No. I messed up somewhere. Let me try one more time. And then gets a perfect, a bow line. I think it would totally be a bow line. But I pull it taut and then say, yes, a perfect storm knot, as requested.
I'm not going to say anything, but I'm going to look at Tues like, are you sure you want to do this?
Tues is just shrug and start rappelling down.
All right. As you do, is Krona on your back?
Sure. Why not?
Okay.
This is surprisingly comfortable.
As you begin to make your shimmy down, the machines all stop doing their thing and the lightning sort of stops. The shield thing just sort of, begins to kind of like dip away and sort of just come down. And this machine just kind of rights itself and stands up. And now its head is about another 20 feet off of where its like shoulders, like leg articulations are. This thing is standing like 50 feet in the air. And it sort of turns and is kind of looking, away from you, and not in your direction. But this like has you like hold on and just like you stop for a second. And both of you are kind of like looking there hanging as Feyre and Tejak are looking. And it turns and begins to head down one of the paths out of this room away from you. And when that does, this sort of weird sort of thing just kind of moves up and out of the bottom of the center area, and it looks like this.
Oh boy.
And it's sort of glowing, sort of a purple. It looks like it's glowing red in the picture, but it's actually glowing sort of purple when it's pulsating.
Okay.
And then once the machine, this gigantic machine, kind of moves through the entrance, like it seals itself back up again. And you can see like the articulations just sort of come in, kind of do their thing, and then sort of pull back as it looks like they're like fluid and other kinds of things and other parts just sort of begin to shift into place, as if like what if you spent some time sort of thinking about it. It's as if it's replacing its supplies.
Tejak, he's saying this while he's like climbing down. It's like, whatever we're planning on doing here, think we should do quickly.
Can't hear you.
That's because he's on a cliff. You can't hear it down there. All I said was, I'll be right there. And he starts climbing down as well. Slowly.
Era, are you following them?
Yep.
All right. So the four of you find yourself at the bottom, and the floor is sort of this weird, like weird sort of shapes and rises, and there's cores, and they look like there's machine components like embedded in the floor. But as you're kind of stepping into sort of into this room proper, again, it's like 70 feet, 80 feet tall. The articulations are sort of coming down, but the area is mostly clear otherwise. And you can see essentially sort of this central area where the machine was being built. And the articulations are kind of off to the side, but nothing else seems to be active. And that sort of center, raised sort of dais kind of, tower looking thing is just kind of sitting there. And when you look at it, you recognize that on one side of it, there looks to be like a jack, not unlike what was seen on the top of the tall neck.
I can't believe that not held. I mean, of course that not held.
How did we jack into the tall neck before?
Use the override.
Oh, right. That's what it was.
That's right.
That's right.
The fully functional override.
It was fully functional. It just wasn't super powered override. Okay? It was a functional override. I just stole the better one.
Not like you're a thief at all or anything.
Listen, I'm not a good guy. I'm an okay guy. Yeah, this is what we see. Is this column and some lights doing their light thing?
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, I think Tajak looks to Feyre and says, would you like me to fix your override now?
I don't think right now is the time for it.
Oh. Okay. And then he walks over and pulls out his override and puts it in the port. And then locks it into place.
And as you do that, you, of course, the four of you see in your like sort of focus interface, like visual, you see this sort of bright purple sort of like circular sort of thing like appear around his override as it's connecting to the sort of the tower. And it goes from purple and it just kind of cycles around and the color just kind of, cycles into blue. And as it does, the tower slowly descends just a little bit. And then there's this pulse of information. And then you all hear a voice. Intrusion detected.
Uh-oh.
And all of this like information begins to kind of display across like your focus as the broadcast just of like all this data. Tajak, I'm going to need you to make a roll for me.
Sure, I'm good at those.
Something that involves like you trying to comprehend what it is you were comprehended before.
Cool, I'm great at those.
Yeah, whatever that word comprehending kind of a thing was, go ahead and do it.
Understanding Numenera. What is the difficulty?
3.
Cool. Does my special focus help?
Yes.
Dope. I'm going to spend 1 effort.
Your special focus helps. Your special focus.
Not override. I have a special focus.
Oh,
you have a special override.
That's right. I get confused.
11 beats a difficulty 3.
All right. So as you're kind of processing all this all this code that's kind of flying by, and the four of you are just getting all this information, Tajak, here's what you actually see out of it. You see the Hephaestus, his name mentioned a number of times as like sort of the subject, sort of like the first part of this. And then what you're seeing is actually some log messages. Escalation protocol initiated, and you see something that says that sort of indicates to you that 20 cycles have passed since the last time the escalation protocol was initiated. Recent escalation protocol level 2 has been initiated. Point of contact with the Hades AI initiated. And that sort of catches your eye a little bit when you see that. And there's all this other information, just kind of like cascading along. Escalation of defensive measures increasing, time to intrusion elimination, 1 year, 3 months, 27 days.
Well, at least it's a long timer until we're killed.
Oh. Yeah.
At the bottom of your screen, you see ask what next, it indicates, Silence kind of broadcasting and says, ask what the next phase of the escalation is.
Is there like an input here, or is this like Alexa?
It's basically like Alexa.
Okay. I say, okay, Hephaestus. When is phase 2?
Phase 2 setup process, initializing 3 weeks, 4 days, 5, blah, 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 ago. Completion, 2 hours, 3 minutes, 23 seconds.
Huh. That's very soon.
Text at the bottom of the screen. Ask what it is.
What is phase 2?
All this more information sort of, keeps broadcasting by. Then you see details of the machine that you just saw kind of leave. And it starts describing numbers. 50 new machines of this particular type. Then you see another machine that kind of looks like a gigantic sort of dog, large, twice the size of a sort of a thunder, a sawtooth. And you see that it's got like articulations and all of these sort of like things that are designed to actually like expel fire. 500 is the number, almost complete. And then you see something else sort of, even farther down as it's kind of broadcasting through. And it looks to be this sort of gigantic bear thing. 50, of these already complete, have been deployed, region near Cyan, as it's just kind of doing its whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then it says at the bottom, a threat will be eliminated. And as it kind of like brings it up, you see that the threat is identified as humans. And there's all this data, and you begin to see all this data about sort of the region of the cut and where the Banuk are. And then you see like there's other information about, the Nora sort of region. You see maps kind of flashing up and just kind of broadcasting all, sort of like going on for you. Just all this information. And then eventually you see that there's information being represented about the Karja area. And how that, sort of like this sort of attack plan, as just like these machines are being placed, and as they, they decimate one area, they're expected to move to the next area.
I think this machine is making all the rest of the machines. I think there are more of them, and I think they aim to destroy us.
Can we stop it?
Okay, Hephaestus. Where is the off button? Access denied.
All this data begins to kind of broadcast, right? And it's kind of just like all this just sort of like all this content just kind of goes by. And it's all these weird sort of like protections and protocols and all these things. And then it gets to the bottom. Hades protocol not initiated. Hades protocol status unknown. And you see at the bottom of your screen, interesting.
Johnny, for shits and giggles, because it's finale time, what does the override look like?
It's this sort of weird sort of like device that sits on the back of a stick, like a spear or like a rod or anything. Like it would be on. I think I would have thought that Chrono would have put it on his rain stick personally and just been like, shake and roll. You know, like.
So, okay. Does it have other ports on the override? I assume it came out of a robot, so it must have some kind of connecting devices.
It does.
Okay. Can I attempt to mind link the same way I did before with that one bandit's focus, but I'm going to link my focus to the override, which is currently linked to Hephaestus?
It's fucking finale time. Do whatever you want, buddy.
Yeah! I'm going to pass out and become a robot. What's the difficulty for Melt Brain?
We're going to call it a 6.
Okay, cool. I'm also going to, when I do it, I'm also going to disconnect, like, the silence part of this, right? So that he can't see this. Like, I'm like, oh, I got to take my focus off. I, like, turn off Wi-Fi.
Do we get what you're doing?
I mean, yeah, you would see me take off my focus, which you've seen before, and then I pull out a very similar cable, and I begin to, like, open the casing on the thing, and I connect the wire in. Just a second. And I'm gonna start plugging things into the override.
I'm gonna, like, move over to Tues, and, like, very quietly, I'm going to say, if this goes wrong, are you gonna take care of this?
Well, I wasn't clear on what I'm supposed to be taking care of. Him? Take care of him?
What if he turns into, like, I don't know.
A man bot.
A man bot.
I have an idea. Chrono walks up and ties the rope, since he's good at tying knots right now. Ties the rope around the cable that you're gonna plug in, and then stands like off to the side in case something terrible goes wrong. Can yank the.
That works.
This seems like a great plan. What could go wrong?
Yes.
Everything, but let's just be clear. It is the finale.
If I pass out for more than 10 minutes, yank the cable out.
I'm going to have my spear ready. I'm just saying.
Johnny, what is the difficulty? Did you say it was 6?
I said it was 6.
Okay. I'm going to spend 2 effort. Does my focus count as an asset?
No.
Okay, I am going to use right tool for the job to use that cable as an asset then. So...
Corona reaches for his rain stick to give you a good blessing, and then
realizes
I beat it by 1!
that his blade stick isn't there.
I beat it by 1!
Oh my god.
Yes.
I reduced it by 4.
What is it he actually thinks he's going to see here?
Oh, he doesn't plan on seeing anything. In fact, he took I guess realistically, he took the focus off. His intent here was to turn the Wi-Fi off so that Silence can't see, and then download as much of Hephaestus as he could into his focus.
I thought you were doing something way different.
Yeah, I thought you were like entering the Matrix or like.
Oh no! He's not that stupid. So he saw all this information, right? And obviously, like, Silence wants all of this shit. And Tajak is smart enough to know that, like, Silence is using him. He's not stupid. He understands in the same way that, like, Aloy understood that she was being used, but that's the best way to get information. So, like, he knows he wants to know about Hephaestus, and he's saw the interesting after Hades is missing, and I don't know what that means, but I know that I am assuming that Cyan is another one of these things because that's what Aloy said it was, and this information will be pertinent to Silence, and if he sees this information, it makes Tajak less useful to Silence. So he disabled the Wi-Fi and then downloaded a bunch of it, which means now Tajak is very useful to Silence, or he's going to come here himself.
So, all that information begins to kind of broadcast into it, and you're I don't know what you're doing with your focus. You're holding on to whatever. You feel that it's starting to heat up a little bit, right? And it's just if
you want for narrative finale purposes, I'll put it back in while it downloads.
No. This is perfectly fine. So all this is beginning to kind of go on, and for the rest of you, you're just kind of like watching, Tajak do his thing. And the machines are starting to sort of slowly do their thing, right? Like they're starting to kind of articulate and like do their thing and start to like move parts into place as if the machine is starting to get ready to build another one. But as this like information is kind of doing its thing and just kind of, getting into the focus, and the whole like cauldron like manufacturing part is doing its thing, you hear a really metallic sort of like like machine-like voice say, "Intrusion detected. Protocol, defensive measures initiated." And the machine around you just kind of shuts down. And around the room, 3 other sort of portals, like doorways, open up. And you see like the glowing lights of machines starting to move in your general direction through these doors. When you check the status of this thing, it looks like it's about 50% downloaded, whatever you've got. What do you guys do?
I run at the machines.
Okay, so just so you know, from what you can tell, there's a group of machines coming in. You can't actually see what's going on, but they're coming from 3 different directions. Do you want to really leave your position from the center to start thinking?
I thought it was like they were coming from 3 different openings, but all in one direction.
No, they're like 3 different directions, 3 different openings.
Oh no, then I'll just try to take a shot at one of them as soon as I see enough machine to shoot at.
Okay. Go ahead and make your shot.
All right. Difficulty?
I agree with Krona. Difficulty is going to be 3.
All right. Difficulty 3. No effort. I do not roll good.
Your arrow goes flying in and past this thing that you were shooting at. You can't quite see what it is. But the light status on these things were generally blue. They were just sort of coming in. But at that, all of the ones in that side, that one door, we're going to call it door number 1, all turn red, and they begin to all kind of creep in as you see that there are scrappers and watchers and a sawtooth sort of making its way in behind it. As the other ones haven't actually been alerted yet, you can see that their status is still blue. But immediately from that side, those ones that are turned red begin to kind of spread out. How do you guys want to handle this?
Unless somebody else has an idea, I have an ability called Flash that I can create an explosion of energy at a point within close range. Could I try to like explode the door shut?
Door number 1, door number 2, or door number 3?
Do I explode a door shut that's shut, or the one with the animals coming through?
That's your choice.
Or not animals, not creatures.
Machines, but yeah.
What's your guys' opinion?
I feel like one with things coming through.
Yeah, I think one with things coming through for sure.
Okay, I'm going to do that one. And it's 4 intelligence points. So I think I do it automatically, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and it'll be, if you have any edge, you can subtract that. So it'll be 4 minus your edge.
Correct.
Your intellect edge.
4 minus my intellect edge. Oh, okay. Cool. I didn't read the ending of that. I wanted to use it how I wanted to use it.
Okay. Go ahead anyways. At this particular point, I'm going to let you just do it.
Okay.
It's finale time.
I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna react and.
All right. So as that happens, the thing for door number 1 just kind of like there's like a bunch of fizzing and a little bit of like an explosion, and it shuts, and like half of those creatures are still just trying to, half of those machines are still kind of making their way in, and you hear like machine hitting like the metal of the door, but the other machines kind of turn around and kind of react, and for a moment they're looking that particular direction. However, the other 2 doors worth of machines have now gone on alerts, and they went from blue to sort of this like white, sort of like alerted sort of status, and they're beginning to move in and spread out. Tejak, you've got about 75% of the data. What are the rest of you doing?
Era, do that again. Door number 2. And I'm going to use inspire action. And if you choose to do that, then you get a free turn, basically a free action to do that again.
Can I just do it on all the doors?
So you can do this one at a time, but yeah, you can do it on the second door.
Okay.
And so as you do, more of these machines like are trapped. As the kind of explosion happens, the door kind of traps, and do this thing, right? And so half of them are just like they're kind of turning. The first machines, however, from door number 1 have like turned back and are starting to kind of look around and kind of assessing the situation. And that's when you all are seen. And a call goes up, and all those machines, kind of begin to kind of, sort of articulate and kind of look at you. And they're beginning to kind of move forward. Do you want to take the action and do the same thing on door number 3, or do you want to do something else?
Can I take the action on the thing that he's getting information from?
How do you want to do that? Like, what do you want to do to the tower that he's getting the information from?
Explode the base of it so the entire thing comes down. Can I do that?
Yeah, but I'm definitely going to make you roll this one.
Wait, do I want to? Wait,
What is your end? What is your end goal from destroying that?
Stopping the monsters. It won't stop them.
I don't know. I have no idea. I just want to know what your goal was, because it definitely won't close the door. I know that for sure. I don't know. I don't know what it'll do. I mean, the monsters are already here.
Machines are already there. They're moving in.
So if your goal is like these monsters shut down, killing this thing will not shut the monsters down. They're already sentient and moving around. It might stop more from coming.
No, I'm just going to do the other door then.
All right. So it happens. Those machines that get trapped behind are starting to slam against the door, and you're hearing that thumping from all 3 machines. They're all stored, all the other machines that are in here, there's about 15 of them are beginning to kind of make their way towards you, and they're all kind of moving in. One final action, guys, before what next happens. What does anybody else want to do here?
I download.
I'm
torrenting from a P2P network.
If I have a chance, I'll take another shot at the ones that have already been alerted to us. Why not? All right.
You are more than welcome to do that. While you're doing that, Krona, Farah, you guys doing anything else at this point? Farah, you've shut them down, but now they're all moving towards you. What else is happening for you? Krona, what are you doing here?
I'm going to go on the total defense.
Panic.
I feel like that's a thing.
Right, total defense is a thing. It is a thing. It gives you it gives you +1, or it gives you an asset on dodging, an asset on defense rolls.
Cool. I'm gonna do that.
Farah, what are you doing?
I'm watching what happens now.
With popcorn.
This is Arrow just goes, singing out, takes another machine, just completely obliterates it. Other machines are continuing to move forward regardless. Krona, you begin to kind of get into that defensive position as you're kind of getting ready for whatever the attack is going to be. Farah, you're just kind of holding your action, just kind of taking a look, as well as Tejak is just kind of, doing his download. When all of a sudden the machines just all begin to pause in mid motion, they all freeze and stop. And they don't move forward anymore. They're all just sort of stuck there. And you hear a voice from the ledge up above. I said that was interesting. I didn't expect you to actually remove your focus.
You bitch ass bitch.
And you turn and look up.
You son of a bitch.
and you see silence. And let me get him on the screen, even though it's just the computerized version. You still see.
Son of a bitch.
You see this guy, but in real life form, and he's just sort of standing there, and he's just got his he's got his spear, and on it you can of course see his override. And you're kind of like looking up at him. Tajak, I want that information.
You see, I had to remove the focus to download everything.
You and I both know that is a lie.
Yes, we do. Shit.
Are your friends aware of our relationship?
They are now.
What's he talking about, Tajak?
That's Silence. That's who I work for. He was also a Bunduk shaman.
Well, that's perfect. Then he won't kill us.
Probably.
I think what your friend Tajak is trying to tell you, I believe your name is Krona. Krona, I believe what Tajak is about to tell you is that there are no guarantees about whether I'm interested in you being alive or dead.
Yes.
In fact, your life has no value to me except in the purpose with which Tajak has served me. So thank you.
Right. But I beg to differ, my friend, because if our lives were not important, then why would you have lured us all the way here just so that Tajak could do the last step for your plan? You need Tajak alive. I know it. I can see it in your eyes. Killing all of us would do your plan a great disservice. I'm trying to persuade this dude, if that's possible.
Difficulty 7.
All right. I'm going to expend effort.
You better expend a lot of effort on this.
Oh, God.
This is going to go great, you guys.
Everything's going to be fine. We're fine. We're all fine.
This is fine.
We're good.
Go.
Oh, my God. You beat it by 1.
Good roll. Unbelievably good roll.
No, I'm just really specialized. I'm specialized in it.
Ajak,
Effort.
you see a new dawning of understanding across Silent's face. You know, maybe what I needed was somebody who actually could talk their way through this situation. I'm about to have an opening as he looks at Tajak. Krona, would you like the job?
Tajak's job?
That would be correct.
Oh, no. You see, we're a team. You can't just split up the team.
Ajak, you really should have warned them against me. They're of no use to me. Only you are with the information. But your friend Krona here seems to be much more useful to me than you are right now. Krona, if you hand me that focus when it's done downloading, I will allow you to leave with me. I just need the information and to make sure that Aloy does not get it.
He had to say the name. What do you have against Aloy?
I just want to make sure that her ultimate goals do not mess with my ultimate goals. That starts with information. Are you willing to help, Krona? Or do I have to have my big friend behind you make sure that this is something I do alone and not without any of your help? And as he indicates behind, the larger door sort of opens back and in kind of walks in the Thunderjaw as its eyes begin to kind of like look down towards all 4 of you. Tejak, the data download is complete. You have what you need on Hephaestus.
Johnny? What happens when I put it back on?
When you do, you are inundated with an incredible amount of information.
Mm-hmm.
So much so that it's overwhelming, and you can see that there's this weird sort of icon on there as it's kind of processing. What you recognize that icon is as Wi-Fi is turned off right now for a processing power. As you're doing all of this, Silence looks down and says, when your focus is done processing that data, I will just reconnect to it and it will be mine. Now, Tejak, you can join me, but your friends are going to have to stay. Or, and he looks to Krona, take it from Tejak and you are welcome to join me. I'm really sorry. I believe your name is Farah and Tues. I have nothing personal against you, but I have no value of you either. I appreciate what you've done for Tejak and for Krona individually. No
I'll
hardship.
give you this if all my friends live. That's the deal. And I turn to Tejak and wink if it's possible to get his line of sight without Silence.
Say that again.
I say you can have this, my friend. You can have this focus, but we must all live. Me and all my friends must leave here alive. That's the only deal that I'm willing to make. And then I turn to Tejak and wink at him.
You see Silence sort of like processes for a second, and then he says, "No, I'm sorry." And he reaches up and he reaches something into the air as if he's interacting with his focus. And as he does that, all of the machines kind of come back and are all kind of posed and starting to move towards you slowly as you hear the Thunderjaw moving sort of behind you. This is your last chance. Any takers?
Tues is going to look to Tejak and just shout, and look towards the rope, just shout, "Tejak, run!" Grab him and then throw him as far as he can towards the rope and the exit, and then charge towards the machines.
You throw him. You charge towards the machines. Krona, Farah, any last things you want to do here before action continues?
I want to try and snag his focus, Tejak's focus, if possible.
Okay. Farah, what are you doing?
I'm going to follow Tues.
Tues and Farah immediately move forward towards the machines as Krona tries to reach out for Tejak's focus, as Tejak is flying through the air, as the machines begin to kind of move in as we fade to black.
Oh, you fucking shit. You shit. Oh. That was a season finale. Oh, man. Guys, if you want a season 2, shout at all of us on Twitter. Here's the tweet. We're all tagged in it. You guys can find us there. Let's get out of here. Kai has a game right now, so let's do our outros super, super quick. Kai, who are you? Where can we find you? And to who are you playing on next?
I'm Stonefly Kai on Twitch and Twitter. I do magic and art on Twitch and Twitter, and I'm on Scraticus next.
Fantastic. Sam, same questions. Go.
I am Sam, aka Wisdomful on Twitter, the Wisdomful on Twitter, Wisdomful on Twitch. I'm gonna be back on this channel next round, and that's all shout out for now, so we can get out of here.
Keith, next.
Keith, Material Components at mcomponents on Twitter. I'll be back here next season as well. And tabletop role-playing games for kids. That's look up theheroesguild.com.
Hell yeah. And last but not least, Johnny. Where can find you?
Video Store Cowboy everywhere. You will see me back here next season with the Untitled Scum and Villainy show with Sam and Mike. Otherwise, you'll find me on my channel doing a bunch of other things. Guys, I just want to say really quickly, great fucking ending, great fucking run of this show.
You're amazing.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun doing this. Hopefully we do this again.
Hell yeah. And we're going to go raid Scrax. I think they're starting like right now. So I will see you guys over there. Bye-bye.